Hello everyone, I'm Hannah Martin from Talent Studies Club.
Hi, I'm Kat Davies from Social Cat.
And we're both really excited, aren't we? We've been planning this webinar for quite a few weeks now. So really excited to share this with you. I'm going to go straight ahead and because we'll introduce ourselves properly in the webinar. So I'm just going to share screen. So can I just check in chat, can everybody open up chat on the side? If everyone can everyone see the screen?
Yes, Jacqueline says yes, Kirsty says yes, Caroline says yes, Kate says yes. Thank you.
And I know you can all hear us because you've answered yes. Said that. So I'm just going to go through this now. So as you will know, we're talking about the 10 mistakes that are losing social media managers' business. Here. So some quick housekeeping. If you haven't done so already, please get a pen and paper ready because we're going to share lots of advice for you about how you can turn your social media management skills into a proper income. Turn your mobile on silent, as I've just done. I sometimes forget to do that and it goes off during webinars. Please do feel free, as I mentioned, to ask questions as we go along. You can put them in the chat box and we'll get to them at the end because Kat and I were both really happy to answer your questions. So we'll work through them in a first come, first serve. Do get ready to learn. I hope there's lots of tips that you can take from this that will help you and enjoy it. Hopefully it's fun as well. And watch out for some exciting news we've got at the end because Kat and I have been plotting and planning, haven't we, Kat? So yeah, we've got some really exciting stuff to unveil. So first of all, who is Kat? So Kat is, and I've called her this, she hasn't called herself that, but Kat is a superstar social media manager because, and as I'll get Kat to run through her background, but I think Kat's background has enabled her to make a real success of social media management work. But Kat, do you want to just talk through what you've done?
Yeah, so I founded Social Cat in January 2016 and it grew quite quickly and I've worked with clients like MTV. I trained MTV Comedy Central and Channel 5 on how to use Snapchat, which was quite exciting. And I've also kind of built up a quite strong paid social understanding and a B2B presence, and that resulted in some work with IBM. I run some LinkedIn adverts for them. I've also kind of achieved things like running a Facebook page 40,000% above industry average, which is one of my all-time favourite stats. And as well as that, as video has become more and more important to social media managers, and as clients started to ask for that, I upskilled myself and have a sideline filming and editing videos. I'm a speaker and a panelist, and one of my all-time favourite days on the job was when I pushed Mel C from the Spice Girls into an impromptu Twitter interview, which was made the client at the time incredibly happy. But all of this has come from what I did pre-kids. I was a management consultant. I worked for Grant Thornton, which is one of the big 5 accountancy firms in the UK. And then I went on to Serco, which is one of these government outsourcing companies. It's absolutely huge, kind of runs our hospitals, runs our roads, runs our prisons, that sort of thing. And on those, I worked on multi-million-pound projects. So that gave me the business background that I then took into social media management as and when I set that up.
And I think a lot of what we're going to cover today are some really basic business principles that you really need to apply to your social media work if you want to make money. So very quickly, who am I? For those of you who don't know me, so I founded Talent Studies Club 5 years ago, and today we have over 82,000 readers a month. I built that from scratch myself with no experience, really learning on the job. We have a social network of over 60,000. And my background, which is one of the reasons why I was able to make such a success at Talent Studies Club, is I'm an award-winning advertising copywriter. So I used to work for companies like Ogilvy and Mather in London and Hong Kong. as much as I hate this expression, I mean, it's relevant in the context of this, which is why I'm able to share information that can help you. When I was a freelancer, as a freelance writer, as a single mum, I earned 6 figures as that mythical 6-figure income. So I know what it takes to make money when you work for yourself. Today I'm a national media expert. I've appeared on Women's Hour, Victoria Derbyshire on BBC Two. I've been in The Guardian, The Telegraph, pretty much every national newspaper. I've been in loads of magazines as well. I've run workshops for Mumsnet, which is where I met Kat, Country Living and Mums Enterprise. I'm also a business mentor on NatWet's Entrepreneur Accelerator program. It was called Entrepreneurial Spark, but they've now renamed it. And I'm a member of 2 all-party parliamentary groups as well. So I'm really involved in not just running my own business, but coaching and mentoring other people and allowing them, showing them how to grow their businesses. So why aren't you making money? So the reason why Kat and I started this webinar, just briefly to explain, is that when we got together, we realised we were having very, very similar conversations with social media managers. So these are women that have trained in great skills, and they knew how to run a social media campaign. But what they weren't trained in is how to turn it into a financial business. And they were going out into the world with their new skills and not being able, frustratingly, to convert that into a reasonable income, an income that is going to allow you to earn the money you need to do. And we found out that we were giving quite similar advice to people. So what we wanted to do in this webinar is share with you the advice that we're telling people one-on-one, and hope that if we tell you collectively, it can help you avoid some of the mistakes we see people making. And this is the first one, and it is really, really important because it kind of underpins a lot of the advice we're going to give you. So too many social media managers haven't worked out their niche. Basically, what a niche means is finding out your USP, because if you come out of social media training and you've got the same social media management skills as everyone else has done your course and everyone else is doing other courses, you're just competing with a crowd of similarly qualified people. And therefore you're basically going to get to the point where you're kind of competing on price, because if all your skills are exactly the same and all your offering is the same, clients are going to pick the cheapest, because why wouldn't they? They're going to get the same level of service. So what we recommend you do, what I see really successful people doing, is finding a USP, finding something that makes you unique, a unique selling point for you, and also finding unique clients. So identifying clients that you really want to work for and you can work for, and focusing on those. And everyone has a niche. I've yet to meet someone that I've spoken to one-on-one that in 5 minutes of conversation, I can find a niche for them. So if you haven't done so already, I would challenge you to find a niche. Kat, is there anything you want to add to that?
I just want to provide some context around the social media industry in terms of if you try and compete on price. So companies can go on websites like Fiverr.com and they can outsource their social media work in terms of just filling up a scheduler into Indonesia and the Philippines, where for £5 a month they will do your social media management. So you can't compete on price in the UK as a person living in the UK, because the world is global. And I think that's really important context, that when we're talking about finding your niche, we're talking about your kind of premium as well.
Absolutely. And I would say, the same, when I was a freelance copywriter, it's exactly the same. You could get someone in India to write a blog for £5. What you have to do is you have to not compete with those people. You're not even in the same, in the same kind of ballpark as them. So it's finding a way to stand out and assert the quality, which is something we'll cover a bit later on as well. So number 2, this probably sounds a bit harsh, but you're not taking it seriously. And I know kind of social media is sold as one of those jobs you can do, when you're sitting at soft play and you can text somebody, but it's not a hobby. It's not something you're playing at. If you really want to make serious money as a social media manager, you have to take it seriously as a job, as a work, as a business. And that means, just as you would if you were going into an office and you've got set work hours, those hours, unless something bad that happens, like your child is sick or you're sick and you really can't go in, nothing stops you going to work, because your boss would soon sack you if you randomly took days off, or you turned up late, or you spent half the time when you should be working on the phone to a friend. So if you really want to make serious money, as a social media manager, you need to take it seriously. It means setting aside clear time in your week that you can work, and nothing, if a friend phones up for coffee and that's work time, you do not meet them. And stick to that schedule. It's really, really important that you are very clear about what your work hours are, and you actually dress for it. You don't go to work in your pajamas. You dress as if you are working in an office, and you take it as seriously as if it was a job with an employer.
And just to add again some industry context to this, over the last 2 years, I've seen that the social media industry job descriptions have changed, and the respect that people are giving to this job is declining, because they think social media is fun, therefore have some donuts and we're not going to pay you. That's the kind of vibe that's coming out of the recruitment ads for permanent social media jobs. So I think it's so important that as very visible social media industry representatives, we don't treat this like a hobby and kicking back and having fun. We really show our professionalism, because if we don't take ourselves seriously, then how can we ask the industry to kind of gain and stop using interns, for instance, on what is an essential part of their business?
Absolutely, and I agree. And it goes down to really small levels about how you think and feel about your business and how you treat it. A lot about business mindset and respecting your work and your skills. Even things like I have an office, talented I have an office now, and I can work from home. There's a space there, but there's something psychological about treating my business as a business and having a physical office I go to and coming home from work. These are all small psychological things that don't sound like much, but have a really big impact in how you think and feel about yourself, how you project yourself to clients, and therefore what they think and feel about you, and the rate they're prepared to pay you as a result. So number 3, a real biggie, your pricing is wrong. Oh my God, so many social media managers are undercharging. Especially, and I really get it, when you're newly qualified and you want to get that first client and you want to land that first project, because you think if you can get a client project under your belt, you can prove to them your value, maybe they'll hire you at a proper rate, or you can use them to go and find out other work. If you start out by discounting, if you start out by devaluing your services, you train clients to believe that what you're offering isn't worth any more than that, or you're not worth it, okay? Also, there's a danger that if you price too low, you get cheap clients. And I can tell you now, cheap clients are hard work. Cheap clients want more out of you than clients who respect your value and pay your value, because they're just out for what they can get. They don't really, really respect you. Also, and I can say this of many businesses and freelancers, too many of you aren't properly calculating your pricing, okay? You're not thinking about all the elements that you need to include when you're working out your hourly rate. So you think that what we think is often we think our time is free. We think it's just, especially if you're offering a service-based business, you think it doesn't actually physically cost me anything to sit down at a desk and work, or to be in a play park and working while my child's having fun. And so therefore you can price your hours cheaply to compete. But that is, I love Kat's expression, that's a race towards the bottom. Because if you price yourself too cheaply, your clients won't value you, you won't enjoy the work, you'll become disheartened, you will want to put less into it. Clients will want more out of you because they're the kind of clients you're getting, the kind of want all lots of value for their money. So what I would say to you is properly calculate your pricing and work out everything that you need to include in that. And just as there's lots of things to include, but as a basic, think about tax. Make sure that when you price, you're including your tax in that. And never, ever discount. Kat, you probably got lots to add to that, but...
I have so much to add to this, but just because I have suffered so badly with what you said at the beginning, which is that my first client, I was paid £12 an hour, and it took me a long time to understand that they were never going to increase this or see my actual value or respect my work and listen to my opinion if they were paying me that much. So actually it just damages the output that you can actually deliver, because however great you are and however enthusiastic you are and however much you've got to give the company, if they pay you less than you're worth, less than, let's face it, that was less than my childcare is £10 an hour. So, you know, like adding a bit of tax, and really I wasn't earning any money. So it was a really hard lesson for me to learn. And I think it's, especially having had a career break for children and a lack of confidence, and you're just grateful to get a job, and this is a client and you just want to do really well at it. And I had a very naive belief that this client would then turn into something and suddenly start valuing me. And unfortunately, life just doesn't happen like that. And you do need to be brave and go after the clients that are willing to pay what you're worth, because then they'll listen to your opinion, and then you can do so much better work together and just be a happier freelancer.
I had to agree. When I freelanced for 7 years as a writer, and I charged a high rate for what I did, and I was worth it. And I knew I was worth it. In the 7 years, only one person ever asked me to discount my rate. And I said no. And they paid me my full rate. Because I went out there and I knew my value and I set it. I didn't scrabble around for the cheap clients. I just went for the clients that wanted someone of my caliber, prepared to pay for it. So there's no need to discount. And actually, so many occasions I've spoken to people who've put up their rates and found more work as a result. Because sometimes if you're really cheap, people think there's a reason that you're cheap. And they think you're maybe not as good as someone else. And sometimes they'll go and they'll pay more for someone who's charging more, who doesn't necessarily be any better than you, but because they're charging more, the perception is that they are better at what they do. So don't price cheaply. Oh, this is a real biggie. So Kat and I talked about this a lot. So your imposter is beating you. That infamous imposter syndrome. So many women suffer from this after they have children, because what happens is, our identity often is built around what we do. You know, many of us have gone to university, not all of us, but we've had jobs in our 20s that we've loved, that we've done well at. And one of the things that people will ask you when you first meet them, if you're younger, is what do you do? And so therefore, the work that you do is a bigger defining part of your personality. And you'll spend a lot of time with your colleagues and people in a similar industry. Then you go and have a baby and you're plunged into this new world where you're starting from scratch, because no one's got experience of being a mother till they have a baby. And then you spend all the time at home learning how to be a mum with a small child. And for a lot of women, that really, really affects their confidence. And then especially for you, if training to be a social media manager was a new career move for you, there's that feel that you've somehow lost all of the experience that you've got, all that confidence, that you're almost starting from scratch as if you're like 18 again and going out into the working world. And then you feel a bit of a fraud, putting yourself forward for jobs because you don't really feel you know how to do it. And I have to tell you now, all of you, and I said this, I did a talk in Manchester last week for One's Enterprise, and all of you are probably more capable than you think you are, and you're probably underselling yourself. So don't let imposter syndrome beat you. Do not let a lack of confidence hold you back, because I promise you there are people going out there who are talking themselves up more than you, who are charging more than you, who are getting more jobs than you, and who are less able than you. There is always the case. The best people aren't the ones that succeed. The ones who succeed are the ones who are the most confident, because they can afford to put themselves out to take risks, because they can take the hits, they can take the knockbacks. It doesn't affect their core sense of belief. But if you are lacking in confidence, you'll be too afraid to put yourself forward. So I want you, all of you, if you feel that confidence is something that really affects you, to really understand and value your unique skills and experience, because all of you have very unique combination of skills and experience that you've taken from your background that mixed with what you do now, and be really, really clear about what you offer to clients. Kat, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so as my business has grown, I hire in extra social media help. So I hire social media managers. So I spend quite a bit of time going around profiles looking for help with certain clients here and everywhere. And what I notice is this lack of confidence behind people. Yet when I meet people in real life who are in my industry, I'm blown away by how talented, interesting, on their game everyone is. I've never been at an industry event and met people, we all come up and chat to each other and thought, anything other than these are brilliant people. Yet so much when I'm alone at home looking online, the digital presence doesn't match the uniqueness and the talent that I see face to face. And it's just, confidence is being you, but being you digitally. And I think that is something I've really seen recently. And I think it does lead back into this confidence point.
Absolutely. I echo that. Every single woman that I've met at Hands Ladies Club has been more accomplished than she's given herself credit for. I've never met someone and thought, oh, you know, you're not all that you seem. I think the opposite. I just think you're so much better than you think you are. You don't know what you want. So if you were going to start a business, as in what we call a proper business, but you know, like not just using your skills to sell yourself as a freelancer, because actually freelancers are micro businesses. If you were to sit down and say, I'm going to start a business in this, one of the first things you would start out with is a business plan. Okay, you would understand what you want your business to look like and all the areas you need to consider to make that a success. But when we launch ourselves as freelancers, we never see ourselves as businesses. We see ourselves as offering a service. And then what we do is we stumble around in the dark trying to find a way to make it happen. And then either it doesn't happen, we don't go anywhere, then we give up and then we go back to paid work. Or we do succeed in building a business, but actually it's not the business we actually wanted. We don't enjoy running it and it doesn't meet our needs. So one of the things I really recommend is having a clear vision for your business. And all of you, if you want to be a social media manager and work independently, as in not have an employer, it is a business. Even if it's you at your kitchen table working for one client, you are a business. One of the reasons I was so successful as a freelancer is because I was aware I was a business and I treated myself as a business, okay? And that means having a clear vision, not just for the work that you do, but for your life, because particularly when you're a mother, and the kind of reasons that why we approach the businesses or start the business that we are, is because we want a lifestyle in which we can be there for our children, do something we love and earn good money. So we need to be really aware of how the business works with us, how many hours a week we can work, what we want our life to look like when we are successful. And in order to get there, you need to set smart goals to work towards, so that every single action that you take is taking you towards the business that you want to end up running. Kat, do you want to add anything to that?
Just that I have made so many mistakes around this. I cannot tell you how much I've failed at this and how much of a conscious effort I have to make, even to this day, to keep on trying to achieve my actual vision now. But I have found this one of my biggest struggles, just because as your business grows, you're trying to also be the primary carer of children. In my case, the ability to be able to, the luxury, if you like, of being able to focus on a vision is really hard. It was really hard for me to achieve that. So yeah, I think this is a very now is becoming increasingly integral to how I live my life, but I definitely didn't give this the time and the thought it needed when I started out in 2016. And it's a regret that I didn't know about this, because I think I would have behaved very differently and made better decisions and got to where I am quicker if I'd taken this time, which feels like a luxury when you're starting out and you just want the client and you just want to make money.
Yeah, and we get caught up in that hamster wheel of got to have a client. And actually your focus shouldn't be on that. It should be in the business you want to create. The clients will come if you get all the other steps right. And that's the mistake. We're focusing on the wrong thing. Talking of clients, mistake number 6 is you don't know them. So you really need to understand who your clients are. And again, this comes back to the niche. You need to know what niche that you want to own, and therefore who are the clients in that niche? What are the problems you want to solve? Because what people are basically doing, they are not hiring you to do their social media. They're hiring you to take a problem away from them. So what you need to understand is not, here's the social media services I want to sell to you. You need to understand, what problem are you looking to solve? What benefits are they really looking for? What underpins that problem? And why are you the best person or the only person to deliver them? This is such a key insight to so much of the success of being a financially successful social media manager. And yet it's something that I see very few social medias really, really do properly. Kat, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think as I've gone on my journey to try and hire people, for instance, if I have a food and drink client, they don't want somebody who can do everything. I need to put somebody in front of them who has very similar experience. So, for instance, somebody who's great with food photos. They don't just want somebody who's great with photos. They want to see that they've literally done the same thing for somebody else and it's achieved business benefits for them. And it is incredibly hard to find. I know about 1,000 social media managers, but finding people is the right people that match my client needs is still very tricky for me. I think it's a huge opportunity for people to provide me with that clarity, and I can then provide a client.
It is. I'm going to talk a bit more about in brand and how important that is and how that can actually help you find work. But first, talking about clients, you're not keeping your clients happy. Now, I did for Mum's Enterprise a couple of years ago, I did a whole talk on why you need to turn your clients into super fans. And I had loads of stats around, it is so much cheaper and so much easier to retain a client or to upsell to them than it is to find a new one. And yet we get this idea, like, once we've got a client, we can relax. They're a client. Now we can focus on getting the next one and getting the next one. And sometimes we don't really manage our clients properly. So what we challenge you to do, Cass and I talked about this, so both of us have what we call customer love plans. And in fact, if you look at most marketing processes, and the one that I really love is watertight marketing, their marketing strategy doesn't end with the sign up. It ends with loyalty, and loyalty is how you keep people who've in effect bought you because they've hired you for some point. How do you make sure they continue to love you and need you and stay with you, buy more from you, recommend you to people? You can't leave that to chance, and you can't leave it to luck. You have to proactively manage your clients' expectations so that they never want to leave you ever again, either to try and do the social media themselves or to hire someone else. And Kat, do you want to add anything to that?
I do. I want to share a success. So I am a huge fan of this. Finding a client is hard, keeping a client is easier. So I am all about keeping my clients happy, and I really proactively manage them incredibly strictly. And yesterday, in fact, one of my big clients and retainers signed up for another 6 months with me. So I'm kind of sorted through to December, which is an absolutely lovely feeling, and is something which is achievable for everyone if they just proactively manage their clients. And also on this subject, it brings me back to discounting. I've had a bit of a 2-week pause on this client where I sent them the 6-month proposal and said, what do you think? And I haven't heard back, and I have a really great relationship with this client, and I was thinking, oh no, this is terrible. And actually there'd been a personal problem in the family, and so he had taken an unexpected leave of absence, hadn't updated his out of office or anything like that. And so I could have talked myself into a discount when there was absolutely no need to, because I held my nerve, and I've now got the 6 month renewal and I haven't discounted, I haven't done anything. All I've done is delivered great work for the client and proactively managed them. So yeah, I'm really passionate about this. I think everyone needs to be doing this.
Yes, and Sarah's asked a question. We'll talk a bit more about that at the end, about customer love plans. So yeah, I mentioned a couple of points ago about branding and why it's so important. So we've talked about niching, we've talked about knowing your customers. So one step on from that is having a brand and having a brand value. And as I mentioned, when I was a freelancer, I saw myself as a business, and I had a really clear idea of what my brand was. As a freelance copywriter, I was really clear the value I brought to businesses and what stood me out. And I was actually able to tell clients what was special about me, which meant that they would hire me and they would pay my rates, which were often more expensive than someone else's, because they wanted what I offered. So I would say to you, know your brand values and build your brand around them. You do need to make sure that your brand is right for your clients. So it's all well and good thinking, oh, like I really like pink and I really like balloons, so I'm going to have a logo that's pink balloons, and I'm going to call myself this. If that's not right for your client, it doesn't matter. It's not about you. It needs to reflect who you are, but it needs to appeal to your clients. And you need to use your brand consistently. And when we talk about brand, we talk about logo, which is the obvious thing people think about. We also talk about photos you use, colours you use, typefaces you use, and tone of voice, how you sound. So that if someone goes onto your website, if someone goes onto your Instagram feed, if someone goes onto your Facebook page, if someone gets an email from you, they all look and sound the same. So they feel like they're talking to one single business. I know, Kat, you were telling me a story about how important it is to really understand what you're offering, what your brand is, so that sometimes when you have a job come in, that you can't tell who to give it to because people aren't really clear about what they offer. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I have built a strong personal brand, and it is hugely important to my business, and I do use it to build relationships and networks, and I think it's absolutely crucial to how my business has grown. I think my brand is the best explanation I've had for this, because I'm actually very bad at branding. I'm very, in terms of drawing a logo and deciding what colours, etc. I'm not, that isn't my forte, but how I've understood it is your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And that made sense to me. And from that, the Cat X Davies or Social Cat brand has been established. So people, I niched in Snapchat, and people came to me for Snapchat, and then I grew into social video. And people, so when somebody says social video, somebody says, "Oh, I know, Cat can do that for you," and I don't see those sorts of that many other personal brands out there, and I think it's integral for you to grow that. So what are people going, if I have a food and drink client, for instance, who's that person who's coming to my mind? And that's all about personal brand.
Absolutely. And it's how, and as Kat said, you don't even have to have a website and a logo to have a brand. A brand is simply what people think about you, the impression, the vibe that comes off of you. And if you don't construct your own, if you don't think about how you want to come across and very carefully manage it, you risk having the clients creating their own impression of your brand. And also this is a really important thing about talking about pricing, because if your brand looks too cheap and sounds too cheap, then you won't be able to charge proper prices. You will attract cheap clients who pay cheap rates. If you think about branding in terms of in terms of shops, you've got Harrods at the top and some like Poundland at the bottom. If you brand yourself and talk and sound and look like Poundland style branding, you will attract Poundland clients. If you brand yourself and you talk like Harrods, you'll attract Harrods clients, and there's all variation in between. So really think about how you want to come across and the kind of clients that you want to attract through your branding. So number 9, selling yourself, something so many people hate. And in fact, they hate it so much that I've got a phrase that I use and I see people doing. People unsell themselves. So people will get in front of a potential client and they'll go, oh, you could use me, but... I hear or I've only been doing this for a while. I hear people actively unsell themselves, or they might say, "Oh, my rates are, I'm £40 an hour, but because you're a new client, I might do it for 20, and if you can't afford that." And I kind of see people trying to put themselves out there, and then immediately tell the client why they shouldn't hire them, or tell the client why they should pay less for them. So I really want it to come back to confidence again. I really want you to have confidence in your services. And if you get a lot of the stuff we've talked about already right, you do all those things properly, it's much easier to sell yourself, because you understand your niche, you understand the value that you offer. You've got rid of that bloody imposter that it is holding you back, and you've got your brand set, so your brand has opened the door for you already. Also pitching. I mean, everyone here has probably watched The Apprentice, and I don't know if I've cringed through quite a few pitches on there. I worked in advertising, as I explained in the beginning, so really early on I had to learn how to pitch, and I remember I was brought in probably in like the first 6 months I worked at Ogilvy, and they brought me into a pitch, and I wasn't supposed to lead the pitch, I was just to be in the room. And when the pitch started, my creative director turned to me and said, Hannah, I'd like you to deliver it in the room in front of the clients. And I had nothing prepared, and the first words that came out of my mouth were, I don't know what to say. And it was a kind of ground opening up moment, and I swore then that I would never ever be in that position again. And I learnt to pitch to the point where when my partner and I, so in advertising you always work, an art director and a copywriter work together in a team. My partner and I basically won the most pitches in our company, because I really quickly understood the importance of presenting myself to clients and selling what I was doing. So you need to understand, you need to learn how to pitch. If you don't know how to pitch already, you need to learn how to do it. And you need to be confident in stating your price, because every time you get in front of a client, it can be, you're staying in a hotel on holiday and you get into a lift and there's someone else in the lift and you realize this could be a potential client to you. You need to understand how to sell yourself, because not all pitches happen in a formal context. So Kat, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I want to share my own ground opening up moment. So I started off in management consultancy, and I was very confident. I loved my job, and what they did is they would have me sitting in the room for these huge pitches for millions of pounds, and I'd normally have written the pitches, and then the senior guys would then take my literal presentation that I'd written and present it. And sometimes slowly I was given the nod and I was allowed to stand up and take a slide, and then slowly I was allowed to actually lead the pitch. And I was the youngest senior consultant in Grant Thornton, aged 23, and all the others were 27 into 30s, and everyone was male. So I was a very competent person. And I think this must have come across, and somebody thought, I know what we're going to do, we're going to haze her. And I was at this huge company away day, and it was in a marquee on the South Bank, and there was over 1,000 people there. And the partner, the absolutely top partner, turned to me in front of all these people and said, Kat is going to give us a presentation on this company, on our company, and how we're going to grow in the next 5 years. And obviously I did not know this. This was hazing, which is obviously horrible. So I stood up, and for 10 minutes, I have no idea what I said to these 1,000 people. I still wake up in kind of cold sweats about it, because it was so horrific in every way. And it was so bad that a year later, people were coming up to me, talking to me about this horrific speech, 10-minute awfulness that I had given. However, like you, Hannah, that partner, although it's obviously bad practice, and I hope doesn't happen today, he actually gave me a bit of a jolt. That a lot of my confidence was because I had been put in very safe spaces with partners who were around me, who would always pick up the pace. And yes, I was young and like leading pitches, but actually I was standing on the shoulders of very senior people. And when it was just me on my own, I fell apart, and it completely humiliated myself. So after that, I had to rebuild my confidence. And so a way I did that was a couple of exercises, but one of them is, for instance, standing like Superman before you go into a pitch, because after that exercise, my next pitch, I was a shaking mess, because all my confidence had been destroyed by this horrific experience. So you can rebuild your confidence, and I have, and I'm now back to being a very successful pitcher, and I actually think I'm better than I was before before the hazing and that ground swallowing you up moment.
We've all had them, but they make you, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as I keep telling my teenage son.
Exactly.
So 10, our last point, is you don't have help. And I just want to say, if you are struggling and you're watching this and you're just thinking, oh my God, there is just so much I need to do, I'm just so far off, I didn't know any of this, it's not your fault, okay? Running a business is it's a huge learning curve. You know, people do MBAs to get business skills. I've been running TLC for 5 years. I'm still learning how to run a business. Even 5 years on, and with all the huge success of TLC and my own successful career behind me, I have a business coach. Every 2 weeks, I speak to my business coach, because no one can do this alone, and you need help and you need support. There are very specific skills that you need to have to succeed as a social media manager, and most training courses don't teach that, because why should they? They're teaching you how to be a social media manager, but they're not teaching you how to run a business. It is an entirely separate skill set, okay? But you can learn these things. If no one here cannot learn how to run a successful social media management business with the right training, none of you, because it's very simple things. It's just doing the right things in the right order, and if you follow through them, you will earn the money you want as a social media manager. So Kat and I have been working on something really exciting for you. So we've got an invitation for you and a really special offer just for today. So, as you know, we talked about, are you tired of not making enough money? Now, these are things that Kat and I have heard people talk about. They're tired of not making enough money. They're tired of not having a sustainable and reliable income. You know, some people can earn money one month and it doesn't come the next. You want to set things up so you're not worrying month on month about where your money's going to come from. As Kat mentioned about landing a client to December, you want to have things in place so you know where your income is coming from. And also, are you tired of working for small clients that can't afford you? Because too often, social media managers fall in that trap as well. Or clients who don't respect what you do and ask for free extras. So I want to say, and I Kat as well, it's time to stop undervaluing yourself, and it's time to start making proper money, okay? And this is the phrase that we've coined, it's time to be a social media moneymaker. So Kat and I, this is what we're working on. We're so excited about this. We've been building this for weeks now. We've created a course together called Social Media Moneymaker. It's an online course that shows you how to finally make money in your business. And just to give you an idea how it works. So there are 5 online modules in the course. The first one is about designing your life. So how you plan your business and plan your life so that actually you're building something you really want to run, that you love running. We teach you how to sack your imposter. So I worked with some really, really brilliant and some very well-known business coaches and life and confidence coaches. And I got them to write workbooks for me about how you get confidence, how you learn to deal with failure, how you sack your imposter, how you create a vision for success. So we've got a whole module on mindset, because mindset underpins absolutely everything that you do. So we teach you also how to get rid of how to go from a corporate mindset to a freelance mindset. It's all about changing how you think and feel. We've got a module on how you shape your business. So how you find your niche, for example, and we talk about that. And Kat compares the difference between people who haven't worked out their niche, and we teach you how to find your niche. And we teach you actually also how to find your business idea, because even though you're all social media managers, all of you should have very, very different businesses and different USPs and different clients that you approach and different offers for them. We teach you how to make money, how you actually charge what you want to charge your worth and you get it. We teach you how to write a customer love plan. We teach you what one is, and we show you why it works. And Kat explains how she proactively manages her clients, so they not just stay with her, but they rebook with her again. And finally, what we talked about, selling yourself. So we teach you how to pitch. We teach you how to sell yourself with confidence. We teach you how to prepare and how to structure conversations with potential clients so that they hire you, basically, and how to do that with confidence, so you're not worrying about it. You know what to say because you know how to structure it. So there's 5 big results that you will get when you join Social Media Moneymaker. So you will learn how to hook bigger fish. You will stop fighting for the cheap clients that you know, oh, I've only got £150 a month and I want you to do 5 platforms for me. Forget those clients. We would teach you how to cook the bigger fish. We will show you how to earn more than just pocket money. You are earning proper money that you deserve to earn for the skills that you have. We will teach you how to manage clients. They respect your time and the value you bring. You're not working for cheap clients who just want cheap services. Clients who understand that you're not just a social media manager, that you are going to manage their social media presence so that you will grow their business and deliver the results that they want. Social media management isn't this silo, this kind of thing that's off over there that's not really worth anything. They throw peanuts at. Clients that recognize the value it brings to their business. We will help you choose how much you want to earn around your family, because it should be a choice. It's not something that you hope will happen, that you'll earn some money, that you will get to choose how often you work and what money you earn. And really importantly, we will stop you working for free. Those days are over. So Social Media Manager is a unique partnership between Talent Leaders Club and Davies. This is the only course I've ever run with anyone else. The first was Back to What You Love with Fiona Clark. I don't work with anyone. I really, really carefully pick people I work with, and I only work with the best. So I'm really delighted and honoured to work with Kat, because I've seen how she works and I've seen how successful she is and why she's successful. And I understand that Kat's success comes because she knows what she's doing. And we've combined our expertise and, more importantly, our experience in here, because one of the things, we've got 2 people who've been to this course already for us, we're going through it now, because we wanted to make sure it's got absolutely everything you need. And one of the things that they love are Kat's videos, because Kat kind of goes on there and she really shares the back of her business, you know, like what happens behind the scenes and how she makes it work. So you really understand not just the front, the marketing side of a successful business, but what it takes behind it to make it, and how Kat feels about that. And yeah, we created this course for one reason, you. And I know, like, say, Kat, you know, this is something we talked about. I've met loads of social media managers over the years, and I found myself having the same conversation with them, because they've come to me with the same worries. And when Kat and I met at Mumsnet, when we were both trainers last year, we had this conversation, didn't we, Kat? And I know you feel really passionate about this too, don't you?
I really do. I think when I was growing my business, a personal network of social media managers grew around me, and I felt like was I just lucky, or why was I managing to make money, and really good money at some months, and what was it that I was doing differently? And I've thought about this really hard for 2 years, and I've set up free Facebook groups to try and help everyone upskill, and I've tried so many things to share what I do. And I really genuinely believe that it was my management consultancy background that has meant that I am now in the position I am, and that I feel that's unfair. Almost I'm at an unfair advantage, and that this course levels that playing field and says, okay, this is what I learned. And I'm one of my motivation is that I know how hard it is to be the primary care of children, and to try and work as well, and I know what it's like to have a month where you've worked really hard and you've earned like £0 after childcare, or even worse, you're minus £250 after childcare, and that is just not acceptable as a long-term life. It's not acceptable that women take this huge bold step of setting up a freelance business around children, which is, you know, great that technology allows it, but it really is an incredible leap for us to do that, especially with young children, especially if we're the primary carers. And it breaks me when I think people aren't actually earning any money after all the blood, sweat and tears that I know everyone is putting into their business. So I feel this is a sustainable way that I can share the knowledge that and that's all it is. It's just It's just that I learned how to pitch. I had confidence. I know what a profit and loss balance sheet is. It's just that I have these building blocks that I was given because I trained in management consultancy. That's the as far as I can see, that's the only difference. And when I look in my network and I see the people who are making money, again, you can always trace a business background pre-kids, and that's all it is. I'm not any more talented than anyone else. I'm not lucky. It's just this. It's just these planks of knowledge.
And yeah, it's all packed into that course. So Social Media Manager is an investment of £497, and there's a really important reason why I use the word investment. So all too often we see things as costs in business. I invest in TLC. One of the reasons, again, why TLC is being so successful, because from the beginning I have invested in Talented Ladies Club. So I invest a lot more than this every single month on business coaching. And when I started investing in business coaching in the early days of TLC, it actually put TLC at a loss. So business coaching took Talented Ladies Club from a profit to a loss every single month. But you can track my profits like this. I do business coaching, and the cost of coaching is here. So my profits are here, but then they start doing this, because you should always see a return on investment. So I would expect you, if you join Social Media Moneymaker, the value you get for Social Media Moneymaker should be worth to you, if you do it properly, more than £497. And that actually this enables you to grow your business far beyond this. You know, now is the time. Today is no better time than today to start making money. It is your time, and I really, really want to see you getting the money you deserve to get, basically. It's not about earning that £1 million in a fortnight. It's just about earning money that you deserve for the effort you've put in acquiring your social media management skills, that's worth all the years you've spent working in your former career. You really deserve to earn good money for who you are and the skills you've got, and we really want to help you.
Yes, and do connect with me on Twitter or LinkedIn at Davies. I'm kind of addicted, so I'm always on there. So do chat, just generically, not necessarily just about this course, but do connect and chat, even if you don't take the course.
Yes, and likewise, you know, at Talented Ladies on Twitter. And I've really, thank you so much, everyone who's turned up for this or is watching it later on the recording. And I'm glad, yeah, I'm glad it was really useful for you all. Because as I said, Kat and I really want, I think if you've taken the courage to upskill, as in learn new skills, or to go out on your own, you deserve to be rewarded for that, and you deserve to get the money that you should be earning. And I really hope that we can help you do that. And I hope, if nothing else, that this webinar has been inspirational and that you've got some advice from it.
Yes, and thank you very much from me. It's been really good fun, and I've enjoyed chatting to you all. Thanks for such a lively chat. It's been brilliant. And Laura's, I think, can finish it off saying thank you. It's been really helpful and very positive and inspirational. Laura, you've just made my day.